Everybody has a hobby, right? Whether it's playing music, painting, or playing sports, hobbies give us a way to escape, express ourselves, and sometimes even discover who we are. Some people, for example, love collecting pop culture items such as comic books, action figures, movie posters, and more. What starts as a fun interest can become something even bigger. Can collecting something like comic books and vintage toys actually inspire someone to pursue a career? To explore this question, we're going to sit down with two individuals from different generations and career paths, one younger, one older, to see how their love for pop culture may have helped shape their personal and professional lives.
Hey, Casper!
For 30 years I've been hunting deadites, and now... Now I slash places!
Hi, my name is Luke Askew and I collect action figures and comic books.
So, what started off your collection?
Basically, I arrived home from school one day when I was about 14 to discover that my parents had sold my toys. So from that day forward I used my dinner money, which was £1 back then, and bought action figures, comic books off friends at school, and ever since then I've just carried on.
So how would you say that inspired you to create your own comic book store and your own YouTube channel?
The comic book store came about, I first discovered such a thing existed, obviously this is pre-internet, in the early 1980s whilst on holiday with my parents. Up until that point I wasn't aware that anything like that existed, and I found one. It was in Blackpool South. It was called Thunder Books, and from that moment on I knew what I wanted to do when I left school. Fell in love with it straight away. Everything just came together, but unfortunately it took some time to realise that dream, but that's where the dream originated and the idea for the comic book shop.
How long did your comic book store last for?
The Atomic Comics started in February of 2014 and we finally closed in 2023.
So, would you say that you owning a comic book store also furthered you collecting as well?
Yes, naturally, customers, friends, anybody who reads comic books or follows that medium has a tendency to fall into the catchment of action figures, model kits, anything associated with that medium, and that only fueled my obsession. Meeting other people also influenced other people to say, yes, I collect action figures, I read comic books, and it just gathered momentum from then on.
So, to answer the main question about this documentary, can collecting inspire someone's career path?
Yes, the whole pop culture wave, the comic book action figure medium, spurs on the younger generations in imagination and adventure. Whether you like Star Wars or not, in 1977, when that film was released, that changed so much of the 21st century, not just through filmmaking, special effects, toys, comic book medium. It changed the perspective of everybody and gave everybody that idea that to just maybe dream can come true. That's what it's all about.
2, 1, go! Hi, my name's Isaac. I'm a 17-year-old filmmaker from Ireland, and I love to collect things from pop culture, whether that be DVDs, Blu-rays, masks and props, comic books, figures, posters, you name it. I love to collect it. And a lot of the times people ask me, why do you have to collect things? For example, the physical media, the Blu-rays, the 4Ks, people say, why do you buy them? It's on Netflix, it's on Amazon, it's on Disney+. And for me, that's always been about owning the films. So let's say, for talk's sake, here's a good example. 28 Days Later, the original. This film was unavailable anywhere for a really long time. Its streaming rights got tangled up with studios arguing legal stuff. So the DVD became increasingly rare. It was out of print. So to own this and to have it, it was the only way to watch this. That just shows how easy it is for iconic media and iconic films, artwork to get lost. So owning it physically is, to me, the right way to do it, because I can keep my favourite films. I don't have to risk losing them to studios arguing. The other things, such as the figures, I love these because these aren't the big expensive ones, the Hot Toys. These are just little Marvel Legends, McFarlane Toys, Star Wars Black Series type figures. And I love these because, to me, it reminds me of two things. One, being a kid, and it's like having toys as a kid, but they're a bit more like fancy, you know what I mean? They're put together. But I also just love them because I can make my own little displays, and I have a shelf of all my Marvel figures, and it just makes my room feel so much more alive, if that makes sense. I feel like I can have a little bit of the characters and the stories I love at all times, and it really pops. I love having these because they just remind me of a sense of childlike wonder that I think is really important to keep in your life as you get older. So collecting has actually influenced my life a lot, surprisingly. Since I was about 10 years old, I've had it in my head I wanted to be an actor and a filmmaker. One of those, or both of those, would be my dream, and I'm working to accomplish them right now. I'm going into the film industry through a college course. I'm doing shows on stage. I'm working towards these goals, trying to make the connections I can, but collecting has really influenced those life choices. So, for example, as mentioned, I collect stuff based on a lot of the characters I love. For example, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, specifically Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, was my favourite set of films growing up as a kid. Like the second one and the first one and the third one, all three. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man films are some of the most important films to me as a person. In my childhood, they were extremely formative, and whenever I was like a young kid, I was 11 years old, I was like, hey, I want to try and make a film. My first thought was, let's try and make a Spider-Man film.
Harry, whatever will happen to you, this isn't you.
So I made my Spider-Man film. COVID got in the middle of it, so it only released in 2021 when I was 13 and it wrapped filming. But collecting Spider-Man memorabilia, figures, DVDs, comic books, it all highlighted to me why this character means so much to me, why I care so deeply for this character, and being able to have that knowledge from collecting, that extra insight into myself and how this character impacts me, was one of the things that helped me springboard my love of the character, my vision, into the 6 short films I made surrounding the character and his importance to me. Similar to the Spider-Man films I made, on my Isaac's Films YouTube channel, I spent over a year writing, filming, and editing and uploading my own Batman short film called Batman Hours of Gotham. But yeah, I met so many of what is now my best friends on that project, like my friend Ethan Fitzpatrick. He played the Riddler in the film. He ended up playing Superman in the Superman film we made together. So, like, that was such a formative experience. Even friends I already had, like my friend Hannah, who played Vicky Vale in the film, I was good friends with her, but I became so much better friends with her because we were making that film together. So that's part of the reason why this signed edition, also because it's signed, it's awesome, of Batman Court of Owls is I think this is my favourite thing in my collection. It's the most valuable to me personally, because firstly, the signature's cool. That day I got to meet Scott Snyder was an insane day. It was so fun, so it reminds me of a good time. Also, great book, excellent story, and also it inspired me to make what I think is my best work so far in the Batman fan films. So, absolutely, my favourite and most precious piece of my collection is right here.
What starts as a collection can become a calling, I used to spend hours of my day reading comic books, watching superhero movies, and now I get to do that. As you are aware, my name is Ethan Fitzpatrick, and I am a filmmaker. In my free time, I make Spider-Man fan films, I make Power Ranger fan films, I make whatever fan film I want to for the passion. You might be wondering, why? Well, it's because I enjoy it. It gives me a purpose in life. It entertains people. Yeah, some people may laugh, some people may think it's bad, some people might make fun of it, but I don't care. It's made an impact.